Hey eBay Ninjas! Welcome to episode 113 of eBay the Right Way. Today's date is May 17th, 2023, and my guest is Donna in Ohio. The only announcement is that the 2021 and 2022 BOLO books have been replenished and are in my eBay store. The link to my store is below the podcast, and make sure you go to the Suzanne's Seller Tools category and look at all of the listings, because I have made some combo packs where the books are discounted and the shipping is reduced. For example, you might only want the 2021 and 2022 books, and there is a combo pack for that. I put a lot of thought into anticipating what you all would want, so there are several different variations. Okay, and now for the conversation with Donna.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back. And today we have Donna with us. And Donna is located where?
Ohio, close to Cincinnati.
Okay. So is that your city for sourcing?
Yeah, kind of the outskirts of Cincinnati. I'm kind of all over. Yeah.
Okay.
That general area. Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Well, we usually start off with a little background, and we chatted before we started recording. And one thing you said that I love was you kind of had to think a minute if you wanted to come on the podcast, but thought, maybe something you share will help somebody else.
Yes.
And that is the purpose of these reseller chats, is everybody has a different experience. Sometimes people decline coming on because they think they're not good enough. They haven't been doing this long enough. And that is just not true, because everybody's journey is different. And I don't care if it's your first day on eBay, you know things other people don't know because of your life history. So that's my speech. So if you get invited to come on this podcast, it's not scary. And you might be able to help somebody. So we're going to start with what brought you to eBay and when.
Okay. I think I've been selling about 6 years. I had a friend come to me. I kept bumping into her in the store and outside the store and just in random places. And she finally said, I think we're supposed to meet because I need to share something with you. So I was like, okay, that's a little weird, but all right. So we went to lunch.
And you were like, okay, is it $1 million? Can you share that?
I was a little nervous. But she said that she had been selling on eBay. And she said she treated me to lunch that day with her eBay sales. So that was kind of fun. Yeah. But she said that she had been making probably about $500 a month. And at the time, my daughter was in gymnastics, and we were probably paying about $400 to $500 a month because she was on a team. So she said, I just thought maybe you would like the extra income. So I am a stay-at-home mom and I homeschool. So I needed something that I could do from home. And I had tried every kind of party that you could possibly imagine doing. And I'm just not comfortable in front of people, but I love to thrift. So I started selling to help pay for her gymnastics. And then eventually she quit. And from there, I just kept going. And we have 2 daughters who are missionaries. And so it became a way that I could help support them. And we have a friend also that has a ministry in Africa where they have an orphanage over there. So my sales allow me to help them too. So it just kind of shifted from doing, the everyday life thing to helping others. So now I really truly love it because I'm doing that, as well as paying off bills and, groceries and all the, things that we all have to do every day.
Right.
So,
I love that.
yeah.
And going back to being a stay-at-home mom and wanting to earn an income, those parties, I'm with you. I am not a salesperson.
Yeah.
I say that I'm really a teacher more than a salesperson.
Well, you do that well too.
Thank you. But I tried that stuff too. And it's just very uncomfortable, asking my friends to buy stuff. And a lot of it's like stuff they don't really need. You're just trying to talk them into it. Like, you really need this Pampered Chef gadget thing. It's like, no, they don't. But it didn't feel authentic to me.
Yes.
But, there's being a salesperson and then there's being a reseller. So, you fill up your store with things that you think people might like and research the price and all of that. And then you make it available to them. And if they buy it, that's great. So you're kind of a salesperson in that sense, but the hard sell, the used car salesperson, all of that, that is just not in my genetic makeup at all.
Mine either. And I think one of the things that I've come to love about reselling, because a lot of people have like a kind of attitude towards it. But I love that people come back in appreciation. Like, I had one lady, she sent me pictures of herself in her new outfit that she had bought from me. And she said, I've been shopping for this for the last year and a half, and I finally found it and it looks perfect on me. And it just made me laugh because it made her whole day. Like, she was so excited about it. And then I had another lady message me. Her child had lost his lovey and she was replacing it. So it's just those little, side messages that you get from people once in a while that they get so excited and you feel like you're changing their lives too.
Well, it's an emotional component that you may not have if you're just selling iPhone cases and, the same thing over and over again. Well, you might get some messages about that, but it seems like anything that has an emotional attachment, we really are filling a need because, that lovey, what if you hadn't gone thrifting that day and didn't find it and nobody else had it, and that customer is just sitting there waiting for it to show up on eBay.
Right.
So I think that's what keeps us doing this.
Yeah.
Because it can get boring and monotonous with listing and shipping, but we get those messages sprinkled in about how important the item was to the buyer. Right. Was that outfit for a special occasion?
No, I think she just liked the sweater and it fit her at one time. And I guess she either grew out of it or maybe damaged it. I don't know. She didn't go into specifics. She sent pictures and she was posing and it was cute.
Oh, that's fun.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, going back to when you got started, did you have like an epiphany, or you just saw other people doing it?
Oh gosh.
Or the lady that plucked you out of the store and took you to lunch just kind of talked you into it. I mean, there's usually some kind of moment where it's like the light bulb comes on. You're like, I could totally do this and it could pay for this thing.
Yeah. I think it wasn't really, I just listened to her talk about it and she was so excited that it got me excited. And like I said, I love to thrift. So I thought, well, maybe this is something I can do. And then she hooked me up to your Facebook page right away.
Okay.
That was the first thing she did. And so I started like watching and listening and reading and trying to absorb anything I could. I was still a nervous wreck and I texted her and said, can you come over and just get me started? So she came over and showed me what she did. And I kind of went from there and we text a long time. She's not doing it anymore. She's gone on to other things, but I see her every once in a while and she asks, are you still reselling? Yeah, I am. So I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. And I think I don't know that there was like a light bulb moment. It was just something that I knew I could do. So I felt a little bit confident in it. Although I think anybody can do it, but for me, one of the biggest things for me is just like customer service, and I'm representing myself. So I wanted to, make sure things were cleaned and make sure measurements were included. And so I'm kind of like, I probably go overboard in that area, but I always get good feedback and people say, nice packaging and things like that. So I am still, and it's been about 6 years, but I'm still really nervous about glass. So I haven't like dove into the glass area. But I
Meaning
sell pretty much everything else.
shipping it or just knowing what to sell? Because
that too.
It's overwhelming. A lot of the valuable glass doesn't have any marks on it. You just have to know this is Carnival glass, this is Vaseline glass, this is Murano, or if it does have a mark, it may not be the entire name. It may just be like the first initial of whatever that is. I do find it overwhelming because you're in the thrift store and a lot of it all looks the same. I mean, like, I think Carnival glass has that multicolored sheen to it. Like that would be easy to pick out, but I see people who specialize in glassware and I'm like, I don't know how you do it because my head would explode.
Yeah. Well, I think the shipping has always intimidated me, but I've watched videos of people who, all their specialty is glass. And I sit there and say, I don't know how you know that information, but I don't know that I want to know that information because there's so many other things that you can do. So I just kind of focus on either what I know or what I like and kind of go from there. But I don't know.
Well, and that's an important piece of the puzzle is your comfort zone. You don't want to start this business selling something you're completely not interested in because, it's like taking up a sport or an exercise routine, something that you hate. Like you're not going to do it. You're not going to love it and you're not going to do it. So I think it's important to figure out what resonates with you, what you love. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be, what you're seeing on these videos that people sold. There is, let me say that again. There are so many untapped resources out there, stuff that none of us knows. And so it's great to experiment with new things, but if you want sustainability in this business, you have to work with what you love. I totally agree with that. Yeah. So let's segue into that. What are some things that you've sold that you love? Oh gosh. I have 9 children. So wait, 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 9
up there with Terry, who has 9, Terry Wilcox.
Okay.
And Leilani in Maine, who has 10.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I just listened to her podcast.
So Gold Star.
Well, we have 10 grandkids now too. So I love to, my big excuse is when I have a huge haul and I'm leaving the thrift store, they always eye you that, oh, it's another reseller. And I just throw out there, I have my big family, which is true because I bring them home and my kids just like attack. They're like, what's your haul today, Mom?
Yeah. What'd you get me?
What'd you get me? So, I actually, and funny story, my daughter-in-law, she has been like doing drafts for me. She's really good at fashion. So when it comes to clothing, I let her do the drafts and I pay her to do that. But, I had a Free People skirt recently and she came out of the office and she's modeling the skirt. And I said, what are you doing? And she said, you don't want to sell this. And, yes, I do. I can get a lot of money for that. And she's like, okay, I'll buy it from you. So it was really funny, but I gave her a good deal. I just charged her what I paid for it. But I said, when you're finished with it, it comes back. And
that was my next statement is you can wear it till it sells.
Right.
And maybe getting a call from me in a couple of weeks. Hey, I need that back.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's fun. But yeah, I'm always shopping for everybody else. So we kind of have that thing going back and forth of, am I selling it or are we keeping it? So, but it all ends up coming
I
back
don't
to
have
me.
9 children. I have no one living with me. And I had that conversation. I mean, there's some clothes in my closet that are up for sale, and I'm just going to wear them until they sell.
Yeah.
It's a revolving door.
It's true.
You know, and even stuff I hang on the wall and, you know, things like that, decorative items. It's like, I don't want to store it. That's too pretty. I'm going to put this out until it sells.
I actually saw you mentioned that on one of your videos, and I thought that was a great idea.
Of what? Of decorating?
Of decorating, yeah. And then when it sells, you take it down and get something else.
I used to have a sign in my last place I lived that said, everything is for sale. So anybody who came in, you know, they wanted to buy something.
That's so great.
Available. But like clothing, I've gotten to the point where I make money on clothing, on my own clothing. Like,
yes,
you know, you buy stuff for yourself, you know, it's $3 or less, whatever. You wear it for a while. Oh yeah, I'm kind of sick of that. I think I'll sell it. And that happened last week. I pulled out a few things out of my closet in January. It was like, I haven't worn this in 6 months. I'm not going to wear it. I'm over it. And it's funny that things I've worn are some of my best sellers. And I don't say, you know, worn by Suzanne, like it's collectible or something. It's just my size, the color, my taste. I don't know, but it's like, oh, this is cool. I wasn't wearing it anyway. And it sold for $30.
Yeah. That's so fun.
So yeah, you can wear your inventory. It belongs to you until it's sold. Just don't get stains on it.
Right. Which I don't trust myself with that. Especially with all the grandkids.
That's true. You're in a different situation. So wait, let's go back to your kids. What are the age range of your kids?
My oldest will be 35 the end of this year. And my youngest is 14.
Okay.
So she'll be 15 in July.
Okay. So is she like that stereotypical youngest child that like just figures it out? She has all these older siblings to help her with anything. Pretty easy kid.
Yep. She's very easy. She's very spoiled because everybody just adores her. But yeah, and this is the funny thing. The one right above her loves to thrift, but she hates to thrift. Mm-hmm. She has very expensive taste. So when I bring something home that's like really good name brands, she flips out. She's like, you got this in a thrift store? I'm like, yes. And when you learn to do it, you will reap the benefits of it.
Well, when money becomes important and, you know, having it and not spending it.
Right.
You know, when she starts to see the value of, you know, budgeting and what a thrift store can offer.
Yeah, she's learning that right now.
And she'll start driving and she'll really want money.
Right.
So, yeah. There you go. Okay. And then your grandkids are what ages?
Oh gosh. Actually, the oldest is like 6 months younger than my youngest.
Really?
And then the youngest is, I guess he'll be a year in August. Yeah.
Okay. So you get to see all these different generations and what they're interested in.
Yes.
That is the downside of not having grandkids yet. For me, it's like, I don't know what is available for babies and toddlers, and I'm just not plugged into that. So I'm choosing to learn about that because I hear all these grandmas that are looking for certain things and they go on eBay and like, what is that? What do you mean $100 blanket? What is that?
Right.
And then one more question, if you want to answer. What year were you born?
1968.
Okay, so you're just 2 years younger than me.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you're definitely a Gen X.
Yep.
Okay, good. So yeah, all the stuff we threw away.
Oh, it's crazy. And I was out of town over the weekend and we stopped in at a Goodwill and they had a dress on the mannequin and it looked like it came right out of the 70s. And it's just funny because you start to recognize those things, but they're all coming back in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of fun. Of course, I grew up in the 80s and I just shake my head because my girls are so interested in all the things that we wore. And I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you want to wear that.
I know. And like my Charlie Brown lunchbox and my Holly Hobby lunchbox.
Right.
Oh, I wish I had those.
Mm-hmm. I know.
The toys we played with that were all non-tech toys, just
right.
dolls and Barbies and games and
yes,
Halloween costumes and just all that stuff. I mean,
mm-hmm.
back then you didn't have all these Halloween costumes you could buy. There was a few, we had those plastic masks.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of made up your costume.
Right.
With what you had. So definitely a different time, but I'm with you. I'm seeing these things come back and it's like,
yeah,
okay, that was ugly back then. Why are we bringing it back now?
Right. Right. My daughter and I have a joke because when we're thrift store shopping, we talk in code. She always, just so people don't know, oh, they're a reseller. But she'll hold something up and she always says, well, this Scooby-Doo, that's our code word is Scooby-Doo, if it'll sell or not.
Uh-huh.
So she always holds something up and says, this is the ugliest thing. I am 100%. It's a Scooby-Doo.
Yep.
It just blows my mind how much ugly sells. Like it's crazy. But a friend of mine, her mom passed away and she passed on some things to me. And there was a shirt, I can't remember. It was when I first started out. It was as ugly as could be. And I listed it for cheap because I wanted to get rid of it. And then found out after it sold, it was a really expensive shirt. Mm-hmm. And I was kicking myself then, but those are kind of the lessons you learn as you grow and, experiences. But I'll tell you, I've sold some crazy things. I sold a bird nest once.
Really?
Yeah, we had a, now I will tell you, I had to list it 3 or 4 times because eBay kept kicking it off, but they do have nests on there that sell. You just have to, I guess, fill out, make sure all your information's in there. But we have a propane tank and my husband lifted the lid for it. And there was this nest with cardinal eggs inside it.
Oh.
And it was winter. So there were no birds anywhere. And it was right at the beginning, I guess. But he said this nest has been in here all summer. Like they did not come back. Mm-hmm. So he brought it in the house and said, look at this. This is so cool. And I said, I wonder if I could sell that. So I hopped on and did some research. And it was a neat experience. I was a nervous wreck because I was afraid they were going to break. So I stuffed like cotton inside and made sure they weren't touching.
Oh, you sold it with the eggs in it?
Yes, with the eggs in it.
Okay.
But that's what I was saying. It you have to put in a lot of information to be able to do that. So the person I was praying so hard that it wouldn't get broken. And I messaged the person and said, I saw it was delivered. And he said, it's the strangest thing. Somebody got out of their car and walked it right up to the door. It wasn't like the normal postman. Uh-huh. I told my husband that was an angel because I prayed really hard that it would get there without breaking. But yeah, I think that was the most fun thing that I've actually sold. Most recently I sold, at St. Vincent's always has those big bags of plush. Mm-hmm. And I saw some puppets in there. And they were Sesame Street. So I thought instantly I knew they were worth something. So I grabbed them, brought them home, and I looked them up and I could couldn't find like the value of all of them. So I just kind of did what I could find and then estimated, but that was my biggest sales so far, was $169.99. So, but
And
that
what was
was
the item?
Sesame Street puppets.
So it was more than just one.
Yeah, I think there were 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
But yeah, there was one puppet in there that had sold for $70. So I kind of based my price off of that and then just kind of added, sometimes you have to guess because there's nothing to compare it to.
You're right. And that is part of that learning curve. Just a side note, people do email me or message me on Facebook and they're like, how would you price this? What price should I put on this? And I just don't like to do that because the research today might be different than next week. You might have the only one in the future. And so the basic rule I go by is, price it as high as the highest one that you can find in the research. And Terapeak goes back 2 years now. And if it sold for that once, it could sell for that again. Right. No guarantees, of course, but pricing is a skill. It's like shipping. Yeah. It's just something you have to learn when you come to eBay. And over time, you'll get more confident. I mean, the worst thing you can do is leave some money on the table. I mean, but don't beat yourself up because make the best decision you can in the moment, right then. You research it a month later, and you can do that. Like if it doesn't sell a few months down the road, you can go, okay, well, maybe I need to research that again. But never beat yourself up about pricing because it's just a moving target. You know, it depends on your business model, your location. Somebody might be wanting it quicker and they pick the person closest to them. There's all kinds of reasons that you'll see the same exact item with different prices on it. So it's like your comfort zone. You got to figure out where you want to be in that and how long are you willing to wait. So that was my public service announcement for pricing. But yeah, that's just part of the learning curve is like, I listed this hat a few weeks ago. It's on my $100 sales video for this month. I mean, my sales update for April. It was a Rolex baseball cap. And I'm like, oh yeah, they made them. Yeah. Found it. Was very excited about it. So I listed it the same day I found it. And it sold within 24 hours of listing it for full price, no questions, no offers, just full price, $125. And, sometimes you get things like that, but the research was, there was only a couple of them because it was a Daytona 500 from 2020. It was a promotional item for that race. Oh, wow. Yeah. So it wasn't like, it was in every Costco store around the country. So it was a whole, that whole thing about limited in number. But, of course, I was thinking, I should have priced that higher. And I thought that. It happens to everybody. When something sells for a lot of money quickly, it's like, well, could I have gotten $225 for it? Right. But I paid $1 for it. I'm happy. I think one of the wisest things I told you, when I first started, I watched a lot of any YouTube video I could watch about reselling, and it hours and hours of my life, I hate to say wasted because there's so much stuff out there, but when I started, I didn't really know what I was doing. Well, it's a lot to sift through to find what resonates with you. Right. But one of the wisest things they said is don't be greedy. And I've kind of kept that in mind. Just sell it and let it go, and don't hold on to it for too long, and just don't be greedy. So I've tried to kind of keep that balance. And if something sells quickly, I think I could have sold it for more. And then I'm like, no, you got what you asked for. Be grateful for that. So, and I feel like that's been a good lesson. We're kind of a link in the chain for collectors, because who knows, the guy who bought that from me could be selling it somewhere for $300. I don't know, but it was a fun flip for me. You know, I made over $100 on it. So, and it wasn't promoted listings or anything. It was just a flat out sale. And I just feel like you got to be okay with what you get at your stage of this collecting, reselling cycle. You know, some of these people that buy out estate sales and stuff, and they flip everything in a week.
Yeah.
Because they're constantly replenishing. You know, they're the first rung on the ladder. And then, you know, from them, they might be reselling it to somebody else who might be reselling it to somebody else who might be putting it in their antique booth. And it's just all this stuff is just cycling around. And who knows, it might show up in front of you again at Goodwill.
Right. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. Okay. What are some other fun sales you've had?
Oh, we have a rummage sale around here that we like to go to every year. And the first year I went, I don't know. I think you may have had, somebody might have sold something on your Monday page, your post, Monday post, making money, Monday post. But it was a vintage pajamas, like a nightgown with a little panties underneath it.
So like a baby doll thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I now I look for those when I go to rummage sales, because age-wise, you don't know what they could be for a movie, or they could, you know, you don't know why somebody's reminding of your mother or grandmother or something.
Or they could have a vintage shop and it's on display in their window, or they could have an antique booth and they have it on a mannequin. You don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah. So I think I paid $34 or 34 cents for it and sold it for $34.
Excellent.
So that was fun. Yeah. Those are the kind of things that it's fun when you can buy things in bulk, because that's how the rummage sale just fill a bag. So we ended up getting a lot of those kind of things. But I think another thing, because my kids, like I said, when I first started, I did mostly kids clothing, because I felt like I knew that.
Yeah, you should with did you say 9 kids or 10 kids?
Yeah.
9 kids and 10 grandkids. Yeah, you'd be kind of an expert in that department.
But the I guess the turnaround for it, you have to sell a lot of it to make money. I mean, I was making, when I look back at my numbers, the numbers were good. You know, I'd buy it for 49 cents and flip it for $3 or $5 or whatever. So, I mean, profit wise, they were good numbers, but I like the bigger sales.
Well, yeah, they're small numbers.
Once you get confident, once you get a little confidence, you want to go on to other things. But one thing that kind of I've learned from having so many kids is the toys. So I'm able to recognize things. And our kids were big Lego freaks and Playmobiles. So we went to another rummage sale one time, and there was this huge box of Playmobiles. And I could see it, but somebody was kneeling on the floor in front of it. And my daughter was like standing kind of diagonal from me. And I kind of threw my head, grabbed that. And some lady saw me do that and she grabbed it. And I was so mad. I walked around and I watched her the whole time, thinking maybe she would put it back. But when we got up to pay for it, they told her $20 for the whole box. And she was like, oh no, there's no way I'm paying for that. So I asked the lady paying, I said, could I go through that box? And she said, yes. So she gave it to me, and it was worth the first lot I sold was $20. So I got my money back right away. And I think I still have maybe 2 or 3 sets still listed, but that's always fun when I find things like that. And then I like to, we have a thrift store that does a 50% off sale every once in a while. So I'll go to those and I'll find all the bags of toys, and I just save them and combine them. So I'll do like dishes, little kids' dishes, or like Mr. Potato Head, or anything that has multiple pieces where somebody may have donated part of them and it's not a whole set. So I'll just stick it in a box until I get a couple more bags, and then I'll list it and sell it for, I've done that quite a few times. I think I've gotten like more than $50 just for a group of little kids' dishes and play food, just the pretend food. So that's always
Yeah, that stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if the brand is important. Do you
It's
have
not.
Okay, yeah. Talk to us about the play food.
I know that sometimes like there are vintage type Disney dishes and things like that that may have value to them, but it's kind of rare that you find it. A lot of times people just want to get rid of their kids' toys, so they just throw it in a bag and send it to the thrift store, Goodwill, whatever. And I just grab them, and I don't even, I mean, if there is a brand that stands out, I might put that in the listing, but most of the time it's just miscellaneous dishes and pretend food. So
do we know why the play food is so sought after? Are they not making it anymore?
No, honestly, I think it's because, well, like for having so many kids, the kitchen set was always a big thing for my kids. They love it. My grandkids still love it. But I think parents just, there's pieces and they get tired of the pieces, so they get rid of it. But most of the time you can't just walk into a store and buy food or dishes or whatever without spending a close to a fortune. So people feel like if they can get it secondhand, then they are happier with that. But like I said, when you can get a large lot of it together and sell it as a lot, you can make some money on that.
So it's more of a price point for the buyers on eBay.
I think so.
It's not that it's not available. It's just so much cheaper to buy it used.
Well, and a lot of times you'll find like now Melissa and Doug are making a lot of little play foods, and they have the felt kind and they have the wood kind. So there's different types of those available, and Melissa and Doug's very expensive. So if you know, that's one that I would put in my title if I have Melissa and Doug play food. But I think a lot of times it's just, you know, they think, oh, that's really cute, my kid would love it. So, and that's where I kind of was when my kids were little. Somebody would pass down the kitchen set itself, but it didn't have food, or it had a few little pieces here and there. And I actually went to thrift stores looking for those things. So,
yeah, I remember my daughter was born in 94. So by the time she was 2, you know, she had the kitchen set, and that was her thing all day long, making food for me.
Yeah. Right.
And, I mean, it looked like a bomb went off in the family room because that stuff gets everywhere.
Right.
I actually bought a plastic rake just to rake up that. And then my son was the Lego kid. So it was just, I just raked everything into the corner at night so we could walk through there. But yeah, just that is an activity for kids, you know, playing kitchen that is just in all generations, as far back as you can go. It really entertains them. So but I've seen some listings on the Money Making Mondays, you know, a big set, or it's not even a set, it's just a combination, a big lot of kitchen play food, like $75, $100.
Yeah, right. And it doesn't have to match. It doesn't have to be the same brand. It can be a mixture of everything.
And I wonder if daycare, home daycare, you know, these church, you know, the church childcare rooms, whatever, like they're buying it too.
Right. I had recently I had a big lot of Mr. Potato Head. I think I have a couple listed, but it was the smaller of the bigger lots. And somebody messaged me and they were buying it for their daycare.
Okay.
And she just kind of said, what's your lowest price? And we agreed on a price and I sold it to her. But yeah, a lot of in-home daycares or other daycares will look on eBay for those toys, those type of toys.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So you do know some things about toys. What about dolls and action figures? You do much with those?
I have not learned a lot of those. Now I have my my 18-year-old daughter. She knows a little bit about all the toys. So if we're out somewhere, I'll ask her, what is this? You know, I'll hold it up across the way, and she'll give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, and she'll come over and tell me, yeah, this is from this TV show or that TV show, and you know, you can sell that or make money on it. But I'm not real knowledgeable when it comes to the action figures. It's something I would like to learn about. My boys, I had 2 boys at the beginning and 2 boys towards the middle to the end. And we moved to the country, so they played outside a lot besides the Playmobiles and Legos. So I don't really know a lot of the boy type action figures, and I don't know a lot about Barbies either. I really like to learn more about Barbie dolls.
Well, we have Louis Prizzy for that. So
yeah,
not everyone can be an expert like he is.
Right. Right.
And there's just things that you gravitate towards too. Like,
right. Yeah.
I just don't do a lot of dolls because there's a lot of figuring out what you have. You know, some of them are marked, some of them aren't. Are they more valuable with the outfit or without? And the hair on the dolls, like sometimes it's terrible and you have to do these special tricks to fix it. And I don't know. I just, it doesn't resonate with me, but a lot of people love it and make a lot of money doing it.
We tried buying the dolls with the matted hair and all that. And my daughter spent a lot of time fixing it. And she finally got to a point where she was like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. It's a lot of work. But I will tell you, one thing I do look for is accessories. And when I first started selling on eBay, I always heard game pieces, which I still sell some game pieces, like just random games. You lose pieces. So I still do that, but you don't make a ton of money. It's just kind of the in-between sales, but it's still a sale. And then shot glasses. They always said shot glasses. So I did shot glasses for a while, and I have a whole bin of shot glasses I haven't sold. So, but what surprised me is little accessories for toys, like the American Girl doll. I sold a shampoo bottle. It was this big. They can't see it, but it was little.
It's what, maybe 2-3 inches tall?
Yeah. And I sold it for $3 or $3.99, I think. And it was, it was a small sale, but it was still a sale. And I thought somebody somewhere will need this. And then there was another time I sold some kind of, I didn't know what they were. My daughter had to tell me, but they were some kind of little skateboard toy. And they have all these pieces where you can connect them and flip them around and I don't know what they're called, but I sold those. They were accessories to that. And that actually was even a more expensive sale. I think that was like $30 or something. So I try, and when I'm thrifting, I try and keep in mind that everything sells. It's just a matter of how cheap you get it and if you want to mess with it. So
right. And I did help a friend with her Barbies. Like she had a big tub of her Barbies and her daughter, who is now 27, her Barbies. And we went through that and looked at the clothing, and it was just all so tiny and hard to see the, the words on the labels inside the clothing. And it was, I see people posting this all the time. Now, if I saw the grab bags of Barbie clothing, I would get them and go through them. But it's kind of a tedious process if you're not really into that. And I saw one the other day, and it was like clothing and shoes and little, tiny Barbie hairbrush and a little tiny Barbie, purse, and all these things are so tiny. You have to be wired to work with that. But they do sell, and
they do sell.
I also look for the American Girl doll clothing. Like
Yes.
it might be an American Girl doll
Mhm.
and she's wearing an outfit and the doll isn't really worth that much, but the clothing is.
Right.
So you could just
Right.
buy the doll, take the clothing off, and then redonate.
Right.
Take what you need. So
Right.
there's just all kind of ways to do toys.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to
Right.
sell giant Tonka construction sets. You can
Right.
do these little bitty things if
Yeah.
that's what works for you.
And it helps to kind of, I love looking at what sells on your page, because you think, oh, I wouldn't have thought that would sell, but it does. So it kind of helps. And a lot of times you just don't know, or you're in a thrift store and you can't look it up.
Mm-hmm.
I am not very bold about doing that. Sometimes I can go into a corner and do it, or act like I'm texting if a lot of workers are around, but I don't like to put a red flag out there that that's what I'm doing.
Right.
So a lot of times I'll just go with my gut and think, this will sell if it's priced right. So, and usually I pretty much have sold everything. I see a lot of times people post things about going through their stuff and, marking it down and getting rid of it or donating or whatever. And I really haven't had to do that. I think we had a garage sale once and I pulled some things out that hadn't sold in a while, but I'm still selling things that I had listed 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you just never know. And if you have the space to store it, I held on to it a little long, but
yeah, I'm experimenting with that backtracking to refresh listings.
yeah.
And this is in my sales update video from April. I went back and tracked for 6 months, how many listings I did a month where I ended it and restarted it, because that has been part of my routine since 2018.
Yeah.
I think when they took away good till canceled and they made it 30 days or something like that.
Right. Yes.
And, you do get sales, but the question is, would you get them anyway if you didn't touch that listing?
Right.
And a lot of the heavy hitters on the Facebook group that sell a lot of items, expensive items, they don't do that. They don't touch those old listings. So I was wondering, the time investment, which you think, oh, it doesn't take very long to just end and restart 10 listings a day. Well, for me, it's almost 3 minutes per listing.
Yeah.
Because if you're changing the picture, and most of it is waiting for stuff to load on eBay. I could zip right through it, but it's like, you got to work through all item specifics and you have to do all that. So it came out to be 8 hours a month.
Wow.
Doing that. And when I added up that time and thought, that's an entire work day.
Yeah. I have recently reorganized my whole system, and I went from when I first started out, my organizing system was by size and what it was. So women's sweaters, small, medium, and large. And then as I started getting more inventory, I had to switch to the ABC boxes. So I've had to actually look, like I'll go down every day. I'll look at my active listing. And then if my number doesn't hit, it doesn't look a certain way, or it doesn't have the right information in, I'll go ahead and end that because it's going to end anyway. And then I'll revise it. But I've been doing that recently, and I don't know if it's true or not. I've heard you say it's always a question, but people say you have to list every day to have a lot of sales. And I've always played with that back and forth. But on days that I can't actually sit down and list something while we're watching TV, I'll sit and I'll end a listing and redo it just to change those numbers around that I need changed. But I've noticed, this is probably in the last 2 months, that things that I'm ending and relisting are selling. So it's like that, it kind of refreshes it, so to speak.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. So I think both ways works, and there's no way we can prove any of this. eBay doesn't tell us
hard to
what's
know.
in the algorithm. They, it's speculation.
Mhm.
So I just looked at it from a time efficiency standpoint. Is
Right.
it efficient for me to be finding and listing items that have never been there before than backtracking? And part of that was I was doing it like every day, and I just
Yeah.
got so burned out. I'm like, this is so boring. I don't want to be doing this. And then I just thought, well, it's the George Kelly phrase. You don't have to.
Right.
I don't want to, and I don't have to. And I
Right.
thought, why don't I do an experiment just to see how
I-
it works?
Yeah. I think that's the best part about eBay is you can run your business however you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever works for you. And if you want to put more time into other things, then go for it. If you want to not waste, but if you want to spend your time revising and redoing or whatever, I mean, like I said, I've had some things that I've done that for and they've sold. And I was like, oh, wow, it didn't sell for a year and a half, but now I revised the listing and it's sold. So I don't know how it works, but I'm just thankful it does.
Yeah, you just have to play around with it and see what kind of results you get. And I did sell more in April than I did the month before, but would that have happened anyway?
Right.
Are people coming back? Is April a busy month? It's always been a good month for me. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is other than just experiment. If you've been doing something a long time and you don't feel like you're getting the results to justify the time investment, then
Mhm.
you can change it.
Right.
Yeah. So what are your go-to areas of the thrift store? And wait, let me interject one thing. You said you don't look up a lot of items, and I think that's fine. Go with your gut. And sometimes you only have 30 minutes in the store and you
Right.
don't have time to sit there and look everything up. And if it's
Right.
only $1,
Mhm.
stopping and looking things up every single time you find something does take time.
It does.
So
Yeah.
if you're on your lunch break or whatever in the thrift store, you've got to maximize that time investment and buy things. And I consider it an investment in education. Like, I don't know, I'm just going to buy this thing, go home and research it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what are your go-to things or departments in the thrift store?
I think, well, when it comes to like looking things up, I think a lot of times, like I told you, I watch your posts and I've listened to a lot in your library. So I have that knowledge. So I kind of know ahead of time, like what kinds of things to look for and what to stay away from. But I look anything clothes wise, I always look for new with tags. And if they price it low enough, I'll buy it. Our 50% off sale, their prices have gone up so high that it's almost ridiculous. But so I shop on the 50% off days. And then it's just, I guess it just depends on how low I can actually get it for. But I look for a lot of things new with tags. I always look at the dresses. I hate pants. I stay away from pants.
Yeah, there's a mental block I have about photographing pants. It's not fun. I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either. But I do look for shorts a lot because they're a lot easier to photograph and measurements are a lot easier. So I'll look at men's and women's shorts. I look at the toys. I always walk through the odds and ends kind of thing. I don't look at the glass much because that intimidates me. But one thing I really need to learn also is the electronics. I'm not very good. I'm very intimidated by electronics. I know you can make a lot of money selling electronics, but it just scares me. So I haven't really veered down that way. I have recently.
What is the speed bump there? Is it
I'm afraid
if it works or
I
shipping
think scams. I'm afraid somebody's going to return it and it's not going to be what I sold to them, and then you lose money. And I think that just kind of keeps me away from that. I don't know, but that and Then recently I've tried to look more for looking linens. That's kind of an area I haven't really explored, and I'm starting. And the rummage sales are good for linens too. So I always try and look for those. But I love the baby blankets and the loveys and bras. I look at bras. I pretty much do like a once over on everything, anything I can find that'll sell. So if you get it priced good enough and it's in a really good condition, then I go for it.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people are on board with the fear of electronics. Just, well, you have to be interested in them. You have to be able to test them. And which isn't hard. You just buy like a, cheap version of it and, figure out how it works and all that. But like I had an electric blanket returned one time because it was an older one where like the prongs fit into the plug. And I tested it. I had a picture of it with the light on that it worked. And the person said it didn't work. And so I was trying to troubleshoot them with them, like, are the prongs pushed in or all the way? Do you have it in an outlet that could be turned off with a switch? All the things that could be wrong. And they just returned it, said I sold them a defective item. I tested it. It worked again. I sold it to somebody else. It was fine. But it was kind of a hassle getting that. I don't think she left me a negative, but just that's your reputation when you get a return for it not working and it was the customer that did something on their end. Like it would have worked if you did it right, but you can't control that. And you can't, even if you try to troubleshoot, their mind might already be made up. No, this is crappy. I'm returning it. And they don't even take your advice and do the steps. So it could have worked if they listened to you, but I got kind of frustrated with that.
Sometimes it's just buyer's remorse too. They just they don't want it anymore. So.
Well, and I had a weird thing happen. I sold a Blankets and Beyond baby blanket, obviously pink. It said pink in the title. It said pink in the item description. It said pink in the item specifics, and there were pictures of it. What else can I do? So the girl gets it. This blanket is pink. I was expecting white. And I did the old, help me understand why you thought it was white.
Right.
So she didn't return it, but I said, everything I just told you, it says pink, the picture's pink, it looks pink on my desktop, it looks pink on my laptop and my phone. Like maybe it was a device issue. And I got to thinking, is she colorblind? But colorblind is usually like green and brown mixed up, and it's not white. And or maybe her phone was going out and the color wasn't working correctly, and she saw it as white. I don't know. She never answered, and she didn't return it. But it's stuff like that where if she had returned it, she would have done an item not as described. And won, even though it says pink all over it. That was an unusual situation. I've never had that one where someone was expecting a different color.
Right.
So if the listeners know why something pink appeared white, I even looked up colorblind. What do they see? What colors are confused? And because my stepfather was colorblind, and he would get his greens and his browns mixed up. He's like, oh, I'm going to go wear my green jacket. And we're like, that's brown.
I have two boys that are colorblind.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And it is green and brown. Yeah. That's actually how we knew they were colorblind, because my son, when he was like 4, he was coloring a table and he colored it green instead of brown. And his older brother was laughing at him saying, why are you coloring it green? And he said, it's not green, it's brown. So they went back and forth, and wow, you just don't realize that.
That's the most common color blindness. There's another one where I think reds and blues are mixed up, but that one's not as common. And color blindness is more common in males than females.
Yes.
So, wow, how about that?
Yeah. I know.
So anyway, you just get some weird stuff sometimes with people and you just try to handle it professionally. And I said, if it doesn't work for you, return it.
Right.
And that was over 2 weeks ago and I haven't heard from her
Yeah.
again. So I don't know. Maybe everybody else told her it was pink and she needed to get a new phone or something. I don't know.
Have her eyes checked.
I don't know. Yeah, that was weird. But okay, well, we've been going about an hour. So all kinds of interesting tips. And so the last question is advice. What kind of advice would you give to people just starting, moms like you that have a bunch of kids and want to make a little side income?
I think, oh gosh, I think the biggest thing is you're going to make mistakes, but you're not going to be able to learn unless you do make those mistakes. So just go ahead and do it and be willing to make the mistakes so that you can learn. And once you learn, you kind of get in your thing, you'll learn what you like to sell and what you don't like to sell. And then you kind of, veer towards one or the other. And I don't know, it's fun. I love it. I have a good time with it. I don't know. And listen to your videos. They're very informative. It's worth the money. I listened and listed at the same time, and I would flip back and forth when I needed to see what you were talking about in your library, because a lot of times it's just your voice and then you'll put the pictures up. So I would flip back and forth, and then I could work at the same time and feel productive all the way around. So
I try to do as much audio only as makes sense, but this is such a visual business. You have to see the picture, because a lot of it is like, let's go back to the bra course. I'm showing you the different styles and the keywords you use, and you can't describe that. Like you need to be able to see that.
Right.
So, the podcast is good because it's audio only, but it's a business where it's visual. You got to be able to see, or I'll be doing like, oh, here's the new eBay listing form. Here's how you go through that and navigate it. Because when that came out, a lot of things are hidden. You have to expand the section and you don't realize that you can even expand that section.
Right.
So a lot of people were confused when that when it was first launched in 2022. They're like, where's the international shipping? Where's the payment option? And they put it in a different place. And everybody was like, I'm lost. So anyway, okay. Well, this has been fun chatting and I learned a lot from you. So we will look for you on the Facebook group.
Great. Thank you for having me.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for being brave enough to come on. Okay, well, have a good day.
You too.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you again, Donna. I appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy life to come on the show and share your eBay journey. Today's trivia question, since we talked about color blindness a little bit, the question is, what percentage of people are colorblind? Here's some time to think about it. The answer is 7 to 8%. Color vision deficiency, aka colorblindness, affects about 7 to 8% of the worldwide population. And to expand on colorblindness, in case you didn't know what causes it, you have rods and cones in your eyes. Cones help us detect green, red, and blue light. So there is a genetic issue with cones so that color blindness happens. Here are some facts about color blindness that you might not know. It is not easy to recognize. Those who experience color blindness often do so from birth, meaning they might not even know the difference. They see what they see, and they think everybody else sees it the same way. Here's an interesting one. Picky eating is common. Color vision deficiencies can make some foods look unappetizing, creating picky eating habits. Now, I didn't know that, but that sure makes sense. And it is not just hereditary. Color blindness can be contracted through eye diseases, aging, and damage to the eyes. Career restrictions exist. Some careers in the United States, as well as in foreign countries, have restrictions on hiring people with color vision deficiencies. Some of these professions include pilots, the medical industry, industrial engineering, firefighting, the military, electricians, public drivers, designers, and law enforcement. There's probably a lot more, and it's not yes or no, there's limitations in these fields. Some of them may be definitely yes and no, but for example, pilot, it depends on the situation, and there just are different restrictions for different professions, which you might not know. All babies are born colorblind. Color vision typically develops between 4 and 6 months. Another fascinating one, rainbows don't look the same. For people who see colors normally, rainbows present all the colors of a rainbow. This is skewed by color blindness, as only a few colors are visible. So now you know more about color blindness, maybe, than you knew a few minutes ago. Next week, my guest is Cassie, who works 2 jobs in addition to being a reseller and takes care of her grandmother. Her plate is really full, but that does not stop her from killing it on eBay. All right, we have reached the end of episode 113. Thank you for spending the last hour with us and coming back every week to meet a different seller and hear their experiences. Make it a profitable and productive week on eBay, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.